It's alive! It's alive!
I am finally getting around to featuring some Swedish chainsaw, buzzsaw, proper sounds on this channel. Some good Swedish death metal thanks to the Grindstein pedal from Klirrton. Now, before I get into the Grindstein, what am I talking about when I talk about Swedish chainsaw? Well, let's go into some of the history of that. In the 90s in Sweden, there was a huge explosion of death metal. And the first band that popularized the sound was Nihilist. They ended up using a Boss HM2 in what's known as kind of the buzzsaw or Swedish chainsaw way of just maxing out everything. And it gets this super gnarly, super thick, grindy, compressed tone that basically dominated the Swedish death metal scene. Now, in Swedish death metal, there's a couple of camps. There's the Stockholm and Gothenburg. Gothenburg was a bit more of the melodic. You had bands like At the Gates. And Stockholm was a bit more of the raw, just brutal death metal. Bands like Dismember. Now, the Grindstein is not an HM2 clone or copy or reimagining. It's its own preamp instead of a distortion pedal. It's meant to be used either going into a power amp to power a speaker or directly into an interface or some sort of cab simulator. And because of that, they give you their own IRs and Kemper profiles that are meant to pair with this. They're really cool. They definitely get some good tones. I just went through my own stuff. I ended up going through the power section of my Fort and Cali with the L34s into my own IR loader, which had a Mesa 2x12 that I've mic'd with SM57s and the Friedman technique. Now, what makes this thing different and kind of stand out? Well, you definitely get that Swedish kind of chainsaw tone, that buzzsaw tone that they're known for, but in a more modern way. And of course, you can get those overblown, ridiculous tones all day you want just by maxing out stuff and experimenting. But this is more than that. It's a blendable mix of two different channels. The two channels you can blend are the bottom shaker channel and the chainsaw channel. The chainsaw being that all-important buzzsaw sound. The bottom shaker you control with a bass, middle, treble. And what's cool too is you can hit the whole pedal with a preamp boost to tighten everything up and to just add more punch and saturation. And it's based on their awesome Lightbringer preamp circuit. Now on the chainsaw side of things, you're going to have the grind. You're going to have a mid cut that gets kind of all those lower mids, adds a bit of top end cut and harshness to it. I actually like that pretty high up because it got rid of a lot of the honk, but still allowed me to keep a lot of that chainsaw kind of grind sound to it. Then you also have the high end boost there that just really adds some cut. And when you start maxing these out, start really pumping them and boost the mix all the way up, you get that super just grindy 90s sound all the way. But if you back off that a little bit and blend them together, you get a very modern, very filthy death metal sound that's reminiscent of that kind of 90s Swedish death metal chainsaw sound, but much more usable and much more fitting in a mix for today. Another cool feature of this is you have the phase switch, which will allow you to play with some cool out of phase, garbled filthiness. And then another really cool thought out feature of this is it has its own effects loop, but when you engage the effects loop, it actually takes out the bottom shaker channel, and you can blend that with whatever else you want. That way you get to customize your own chainsaw sounds, which I think is pretty cool and makes this thing even more versatile than it already is. I can't think of anything else on the market that has gone this above and beyond for the HM2 kind of Swedish death metal sound, but have really expanded on it and not just kind of stayed doing the same thing since the 90s. So we're going to hear this in a mix, and then we're going to hear it outside of a mix, and I'm going to play around with all the features on it. Let's check it out.